Hello and welcome to day 11? 11? I think so. Of Vlogmas. Today's just going to be a short video, hopefully. But I thought what I would do is go through some low or no cost, family friendly, Christmas, holiday, winter, whatever you want to call it, service projects. So obviously around this time of year, money can be tight, even if you aren't on a tight budget most of the rest of the year. However, this can also be a really impactful time to spend some time as a family doing service projects for others in your community. But again, since money can be tight, it can be tricky to kind of think of things to do for other people. So I'm here today with 4 simple, relatively low cost or no cost in some cases ideas for you. Idea number 1 is the classic handmade Christmas cards, ornaments, craft projects. This one is generally pretty low cost for parents to do with their children because most of the time you have the materials on hand. Case in point, my daughter. We just have a piece of plain paper, she's got some stickers, and then we have some markers here as well. And even though we're not currently doing a Christmas card, we could very easily do so. Do you need help, please? Sure. And if you're not sure who these cards could or should go to, see what sort of services there are in your area, particularly services for the elderly, Meals on Wheels, nursing homes. They sometimes have like dementia, I don't want to call them daycares, but I think that's what they are called, where individuals who maybe aren't safe on their own for the day, but live with people that work, go and spend the day. Call around, particularly right now with the virus going on. A lot of those places may or may not be taking handmade cards, but it can be a really fun thing to do. I should note, Meals on Wheels, I don't know if they're still doing this or not, but I know I did it once when I was in Girl Scouts. Sometimes we'll do handmade placemats, and if you call your local Meals on Wheels, they'll tell you 1, whether or not they're doing that, and 2, what size they would like the materials. Idea number 2 is to go around your house and find donations of gently used items, whether they're clothes or toys, and find agencies in your area that can use those. Obviously, it's really easy to take those used items to different thrift shops and stuff that'll sell them for a profit, but sometimes there are agencies like battered women's shelters, places that provide coats for children. Some fire stations and police stations take gently used stuffed animals and keep them with them. That way, if they go to a call where there's an upset or traumatized child, they have something on hand to give them. It'll take some legwork. You'll want to do some Google searching or asking your friends of agencies they know are in your area, and you'll want to call those agencies and ask what they need. Sometimes DFPS or foster agencies will take gently used clothes and toys. That way, as kids come into care, if they don't have items, they can provide those items. But what different agencies take varies from area to area and agency to agency. So the way I look at it is, if I'm doing a low cost or a no cost service project, I'm going to have to invest some of my time in making that happen. If you're doing this with preteens or young teens, I think it's totally fine if they're comfortable or if they'll help you do it, to have them help call these places and see what they are taking, what they need, what's in high demand, and then finding a way to get them. It's just another extension of that. And if you're working with smaller kids, know ahead of time specifically what you're going to take and where you'd like to take it, but get them involved in picking the items out, as well as maybe you're taking them to drop them off. Obviously, all with what you feel comfortable, because it does vary family to family. Thank you. And I don't want a service project to make anybody feel uncomfortable, but the more you talk to your kids about this kind of stuff, the more they'll understand it. And ideally, the more they'll be driven to help others as they get older and kind of have their own money and their own items that they can donate as well. Idea number 3 is another classic, and it's the old canned food drive or pantry raid. I had a friend suggest one of these before, and I thought they'd said panty raid, which is a whole different thing. Pantry raid. And obviously, with food drives, you can go all out. Are you putting stickers in your hair, you goofball? Oh my goodness. With a canned food drive, you can go all out. You can go on an all-out shopping spree, Find specific items that your local food pantry or whatever organization you're donating to has requested, or you can do it pretty simply. And obviously it's not going to be low cost if you're going through items that you've already purchased, but it'll be pretty low cost. Going through your pantry, do you have canned food items that you have multiples of that you won't get through quickly? Do you have items that you don't think you're going to use at all before they expire? All of that sort of stuff, and then taking them to a local food bank or whatever organization is in your area that you think would benefit. Another easy way to do it at a low cost is around this time of year, if you go shopping weekly, have your kids, if they're with you or ahead of time, pick out 1 to 2 items to add to your cart that are designated to donate. Again, you can do this cheaply. Most canned food items are pretty cheap. You can get beans, SpaghettiOs, tuna in either the cans or the packets. All of those sort of nutritionally dense, calorically high things are perfect for this time of year. Ramen noodles, boxed macaroni and cheese. There are a lot of options that food banks will happily take. There also are many food banks that will happily take fresh produce. So you might consider buying some low-cost fruit options or veggies, like a bag of carrots, a bag of bananas, all that sort of stuff. However, if you're doing fresh food, I do recommend calling ahead to your food pantry to see either what's being requested, what they have low inventory of, or what they know they can use. Because the whole purpose here is, 1, to obviously help people, but 2, you want to eliminate some of those food waste issues. So if you're doing like a canned food drive or a food pantry, something like that, just make sure that whatever you're donating is actually needed. And tip number 4, another classic, putting stickers on my back. Last but not least is looking in your very specific immediate area and seeing what needs to be done. This is a great one to get kids in on, and it is especially safe, I'm gonna say, if you know your neighbors really well. Obviously, depending on where you live, there are leaves to be raked or snow to be shoveled, and that is something that you and your kids can do together if you have the time and the equipment and you know your neighbors well enough to know they won't be upset. Although personally, I don't think I'd ever be upset if somebody did one of those 2 things. You okay? But it's a really hands-on way to get kids involved in being active in their community, doing a kindness for neighbors where they don't necessarily expect any kind of immediate return on it, and just generally learning to put some sweat equity into helping other people. She was done with coloring, so we've relocated for some cuddles. Can mommy have cuddles? Thank you. But those are my 4 tips. They are, just to run back through them, making cards for an agency or group of people you know will appreciate them that might not get many other things. Donating gently used clothes, household items, toys to agencies you know need them. Doing some kind of pantry raid, canned food drive, food donation, and then last but not least, doing some sort of random act of kindness for a neighbor. All of those are pretty cheap ways to get kids involved with doing things out of the goodness of their heart, and they're usually very welcome this time of year. But with that, that's all I have. You want to say bye-bye?
Bye,
so we'll
bye,
say
bye,
bye.
Bye, 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 bye.
And say mwah.
Bye.
Bye. Perfect.